Kim Tae-ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he walked deeper into the crystal caves of Valthera Prime. The air was thick and humid, making his clothes stick to his skin. He carried his scanning equipment carefully, watching where he stepped, on the uneven ground. "Tae-ho, are you sure we should go this deep?" Dr. Park Do-eun called from behind him. She was trying to keep up while carrying her language analysis tools. Her voice echoed off the crystal walls around them. "The readings are strongest down here," Tae-ho replied. "If there are any ancient writings, this is where we'll find them." Behind Da-eun, engineer Choi Woo-jin struggled with the heavy power generator. "This thing weighs a ton," he complained. "Why couldn't the aliens build their ruins closer to the surface?" Tae-ho smiled. His team always complained, but they never gave up. They had been working together for 3 years, studying old alien ruins across the galaxy. This planet was their biggest discovery yet. The caves were beautiful in a strange way. Purple and blue crystals grew from the walls and ceiling. They gave off a soft light that made everything look magical. But Tae-ho was more interested in the carved symbols on the walls. They were different from anything he had seen before. "Look at this," Da-eun said, stopping at a wall covered in strange writing. "These symbols are much older than the others we found, maybe 5,000 years old." Tae-ho nodded and set up his scanner. The device beeped as it recorded the symbols. "The pattern is different too, more complex, like they were trying to tell a story. They worked for hours, moving deeper into the cave system. The crystals grew bigger and brighter the further they went. Finally, they reached a large round chamber. The walls were covered in carvings, and in the center stood a tall crystal pillar. "Wow," Woo-jin said, setting down the generator. "This place is incredible." Tae-ho walked around the pillar, studying it carefully. It was twice as tall as he was, and covered in symbols that seemed to glow. "This isn't just decoration," he said. "It's some kind of machine." "Be careful," Da-eun warned. "We don't know what it does." But Tae-ho was already running his scanner over the pillar. The device made excited beeping sounds. "The energy readings are off the charts. This thing is still active after thousands of years." As he moved his scanner closer to examine a particularly bright symbol, his hand accidentally brushed against the crystal surface. The moment his skin touched it, the entire chamber filled with blinding light. "Tae-ho!" Da-eun shouted. The light faded, and in the center of the chamber stood a figure made of pure light. It was a woman, tall and graceful, with silver skin that seemed to shine from within. Strange markings glowed along her arms and face. Her eyes were the most beautiful and terrifying thing Tae-ho had ever seen. Deep violet, like looking into the heart of a star. The 3 humans stood frozen, unable to move or speak. The figure looked around the chamber. Then her gaze fell on Tae-ho. Their eyes met, and he felt something change deep inside his mind. It was like a door opening or a key turning in a lock he didn't know existed. The figure spoke, and somehow Tae-ho understood every word, even though she wasn't speaking Korean. "You have gazed upon the cursed queen," she said. Her voice was sad and beautiful at the same time. "By the laws of my people, you must now choose." "Choose what?" Tae-ho managed to ask. "Become my consort within 7 solar cycles, or face the eternal hunt." The figure stepped closer. "I am Queen Niravel of the Corvani Empire. I have been waiting here for 5,000 years for someone worthy to free me." "Free you from what?" Tae-ho asked. "From this prison of light and memory. From the curse placed upon me by my own people when I refused to marry for politics instead of love." Her image flickered like a candle in the wind. "But freedom comes with a price. If you choose to help me, every creature that once served my empire will hunt you. They will try to kill you before the 7 days end." Da-eun found her voice. "That's impossible. The Corvani Empire fell thousands of years ago." Queen Niravel turned to look at her. "Did it? Or did it just hide, waiting for someone brave enough to wake it up?" The light around the queen began to fade. 7 days, she said to Tae-ho. "Think carefully, human. Your choice will change everything." The hologram disappeared, leaving the 3 humans alone in the crystal chamber. For a long moment, Nobody spoke. Then Wu Jin laughed nervously. "Did that really just happen?" he asked. Tae-ho looked at the crystal pillar. It was still glowing, but dimmer now. "I think so." "We need to get back to the ship," Da-Yun said. "We need to research this Corvani Empire. If what she said is true, then I'm in big trouble," Tae-ho finished. As they packed their equipment, Tae-ho noticed something strange. The symbols on the walls made sense to him now. He could read them like Korean. One wall told the story of a great empire that spanned the galaxy. Another showed a beautiful queen who refused to start a war. "Guys," he said, "I can read these symbols." Da-Un looked at him with worry. "That's not possible. It takes years to learn a new alien language." But Tai-Ho was already reading aloud. "Here lies the story of Queen Niravel, last ruler of the United Corvani worlds. She chose love over war, peace over power. For this she was cursed to wait until one worthy could free her spirit." They climbed out of the caves in silence. Above them, the two suns of Valthara Prime were setting, painting the sky in shades of red and gold. Tae-ho counted the days in his head. 7 solar cycles. On this planet, that meant 14 Earth days. Back at their research camp, Da-Un immediately started searching their computer databases for information about the Corvani Empire. Wu Jin checked their communication equipment, making sure they could call for help if needed. Tae-ho sat outside their tent, looking up at the alien stars. His dreams that night were filled with visions of great ships flying between worlds, of cities built from crystal and light. And always, the sad violet eyes of a queen who had been alone for far too long. When he woke up the next morning, he found strange marks on his arm, the same glowing patterns he had seen on Queen Niravel. The curse had begun. Tae-ho stared at the glowing marks on his arm. They looked like tattoos, but they pulsed with a soft light that seemed to come from inside his skin. Da-Yun examined them with her medical scanner while Wu Jin worked at their computer. "The marks are giving off some kind of energy," Da-Un said. "But they're not hurting you. If anything, your body seems stronger than before." "I found something," Wu Jin called from the computer. "The Corvani Empire was real. They controlled hundreds of worlds about 5,000 years ago. But listen to this. They didn't fall in a war with other aliens. They destroyed themselves in a civil war." Tae-ho walked over to look at the screen. Old star maps showed the huge size of the Corvani territory. "What started the war?" "Marriage politics," Da-Un said, reading from another screen. "Queen Niravel was supposed to marry Prince Zethran to unite 2 powerful families. When she refused, it split the empire in half." "So she was telling the truth," Tae-ho said. "There's more," Wu Jin continued. "After the war ended, the survivors put a curse on her. They blamed her for destroying their civilization. The curse was supposed to trap her spirit forever, but it had a way out. Let me guess," Tae-ho said. "Someone has to marry her." "Not just anyone," Da-Un said, pointing to the text. "Someone who can survive the eternal hunt. Every species that served the Corvani Empire is supposed to try to kill the chosen person. If they survive 7 days, they can free the queen." Tae-ho felt a chill run down his spine. "How many species served the empire?" "Hundreds," Wu Jin said quietly. A loud roar echoed across their campsite. The 3 humans looked up to see something moving in the sky. It looked like a metal bird, but it was the size of a small ship. Red eyes glowed on its head as it circled. "Above them! That's not from this planet," Da-Yun said. The metal bird dove toward them. Wu Jin grabbed a plasma rifle while Tae-ho and Da-Yun ran for cover behind their equipment. The creature's claws scraped against the ground where Tae-ho had been standing. "It's only attacking me," Tae-ho realized. "You two stay back." The creature landed and folded its metal wings. Up close, Tae-ho could see it was part machine, part living tissue. Ancient technology that had survived thousands of years, waiting for this moment. The marks on Tae-ho's arm began to glow brighter. Without thinking, he held up his hand toward the creature. Energy shot from the marks, hitting the metal bird in the chest. It stumbled backward, making angry noises. "How did you do that?" Da-Yun shouted. "I don't know," Tae-ho replied. The creature attacked again, but this time Tae-ho was ready. The curse marks gave him faster reflexes and stronger muscles. He dodged the claws and hit back with energy blasts. After a few minutes of fighting, the creature retreated into the sky. This is just the beginning, Taeho said, breathing hard. If every species in the old empire is coming after me, we need to be ready. Over the next 2 days, more creatures arrived. Some were robots left behind by the Corvani. Others were aliens whose ancestors had served the empire. They came from space, from underground, and from the oceans of nearby worlds. But Taeho noticed something interesting. The curse seemed confused by human behavior. The magic was designed to work against alien minds that thought in predictable patterns. Humans were different. They could change their plans quickly, work together in new ways, and think of solutions that no alien would consider. During a fight with 6-legged crystal spiders, Taeho discovered he could share the curse's power with his friends. When he grabbed Daun's hand, she suddenly became fast and strong enough to fight alongside him. The same thing happened with Wu Jin. This isn't how the curse is supposed to work, Daun said after they defeated the spiders. Ancient magic usually only affects one person. Maybe it doesn't understand humans very well, Taeho said. That night, while his friends slept, Taeho tried to contact Queen Niravel. He touched the crystal pillar they had brought back from the caves. The queen's image appeared, but she looked surprised. "You're still alive," she said. "Most who tried the hunt died on the first day." "I'm not most people," Taeho replied. "I'm human. I can see that. Your mind works differently than any species I've known. The curse is having trouble predicting your actions." Taeho studied her face. Even as a hologram, she looked tired and lonely. "How long have you been trapped like this?" 5,037 years, 4 months, 12 days, she said without hesitation. "I have counted every sunrise on every world I can still see." "That's a long time to be alone." Something in her expression softened. "You speak to me like I'm a person, not a goddess or a curse. Even my own people treated me like a symbol instead of someone with feelings." "You are a person," Taeho said. "A person who made a hard choice and got punished for it." "The curse feeds on despair and resignation," Niravel said. "It grows stronger when the chosen one gives up hope. But you don't seem capable of giving up." "My people are stubborn," Taeho said with a smile. "We don't like being told something is impossible." The queen laughed, and for a moment the sadness left her eyes. "Perhaps that's why the curse brought you to me. It never considered what would happen if someone actually wanted to help, rather than just survive." "I do want to help," Taeho said. "But I need to understand what I'm really choosing. If I agree to marry you, what happens then?" "I don't know," Niravel admitted. "No one has ever gotten that far before." More roars echoed across the campsite. Taeho looked up to see shapes moving in the darkness. Bigger creatures were coming. The hunt was getting more dangerous. "I have to go," he said. "Be careful, Kim Taeho," the queen said. "I would hate to be alone for another 5,000 years." The hologram faded, leaving Taeho to face the approaching monsters. But something had changed. The curse marks on his arm were glowing steadier now, less chaotic. And in his mind, he could feel the queen's presence, not as a burden, but as a connection to someone who understood what it meant to be alone. The real hunt was just beginning. The attacks kept coming every day. Taeho's team had turned their research camp into a fortress. Wu Jin built energy shields from their equipment, while Daun studied the patterns of each attack. They learned to work together like a military unit, even though they were just scientists, but the real conversations happened at night when Taeho talked to Queen Niravel through the crystal. Each time, he learned more about who she really was. "The history books got it wrong," she told him on the 4th night. "They say I refused to marry Prince Zethran because I was proud and selfish. That's not true." Taeho sat cross-legged in front of the crystal, listening carefully. What really happened? Zethran wanted to use the marriage to start a war with the Helix Federation. He planned to combine our fleets and attack our neighbors. He said it would make the Corvani Empire the strongest power in the galaxy. But you didn't want war. I had seen what war could do. My father conquered many worlds when I was young. I visited planets where entire civilizations had been destroyed. I saw children who had lost their families, cities turned to ash. I promised myself I would never cause that kind of suffering. The Queen's image flickered with emotion. When I refused the marriage, Zethrin said I was weak. He convinced half the empire that I wasn't fit to rule. The civil war started 3 months later, so you chose peace, and your own people punished you for it. The priests who created the curse believed I had doomed our species by refusing my duty. They wanted to make sure I could never escape the consequences of my choice. Teho stood up and walked closer to the hologram. Do you regret it, refusing the marriage? Niravel was quiet for a long moment. I regret the war that followed. I regret the deaths of billions of my people. But I don't regret refusing to start an even bigger war that would have killed billions more. That takes courage, Teho said. Or foolishness. After 5,000 years, it's hard to tell the difference. During the day, Teho shared these conversations with his team. Daun was fascinated by the cultural differences between humans and Corvani. Their society was built on absolute authority, she explained, while they waited for the next attack. The ruler's word was law, no questions asked, but humans don't work that way. We argue, we debate, we change our minds. Maybe that's why the curse is having trouble with Teho, Wu Jin said. It was designed to break someone who thinks like a Corvani, not a human. That night, Teho asked the queen about the curse itself. How does it actually work? It feeds on despair, she said. The longer you survive the hunt, the stronger it becomes. It's supposed to drive you insane with fear and loneliness. Eventually, most people choose to die rather than continue fighting. But I don't feel scared, Teho said. I feel curious. Niravel stared at him in surprise. Curious? This is the biggest archaeological discovery in human history. I'm talking to someone who lived 5,000 years ago. I'm learning about magic and ancient technology. Even with all the danger, it's fascinating. The queen laughed, a sound like silver bells. You're treating my eternal suffering like a research project. I'm treating you like a person who needs help, Teho corrected. And the curse like a problem that needs to be solved. The curse cannot be solved. It can only be endured or escaped. Says who? The priests who created it. The thousands of warriors who died trying to break it. The scholars who studied it for centuries. Teho grinned. None of those people were human. Over the next day, something strange began to happen. The curse marks on Teho's arm started changing. Instead of the chaotic swirls they had been before, they formed more organized patterns. Da-Un noticed it first. It's like the curse is adapting to you instead of trying to control you, she said. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But it's definitely not what's supposed to happen. That evening, when Teho talked to the queen, she seemed different too. Less sad, more hopeful. I can feel the curse changing, she said. For 5,000 years, it has been like a chain around my spirit. Heavy, cold, unchanging, but now it feels lighter. Maybe it's learning that humans don't give up easily. Or maybe, she said softly, it's learning what it feels like to have hope. The conversation was interrupted by the biggest attack yet. The ground shook as something huge crashed near their camp. Through the darkness, Teho could see a creature, the size of a building. It had too many arms and eyes that glowed like stars. That's a void stalker. Niravel's voice echoed in his mind, even though her hologram had disappeared. They were the most feared weapons in the Corvani military. If one of those is hunting you, the curse is getting desperate. The creature moved toward their camp, destroying everything in its path. Wu Jin's energy shields cracked under its weight. Daeyun grabbed her equipment and ran for cover, but Teho didn't run. Instead, he walked toward the monster, his curse marks blazing with light. For the first time since this began, he felt truly angry. You want to kill me for helping someone who's been alone for 5,000 years? He shouted at the creature. You want to punish me for showing kindness to someone who chose peace over war? The Void Stalker hesitated, as if it could understand his words. Well, here's something your curse didn't count on, Teho continued. Humans don't just fight for ourselves. We fight for the people we care about. The curse marks spread from his arms to his whole body, covering him in patterns of light. But instead of feeling like a burden, the power felt like strength he was choosing to use. The battle lasted for hours. When it ended, the Void Stalker lay defeated, and Teho stood victorious but exhausted. Around him, his friends cheered, but the real victory was smaller and more personal. When Queen Niravel's hologram appeared again, she was crying tears of light. "No one has ever fought for me before," she said. "My people fought because I commanded them. My enemies fought because they hated me. But you fight because you choose to." "That's what humans do," Tejo said simply. "We choose who we care about, and then we don't give up on them." "I think," she said, "I'm beginning to understand why the curse brought you to me." On the 6th day, everything changed. Tejo woke up to find their communication system buzzing with incoming messages. Ships were arriving in the Vaelthara system, dozens of them from different alien species across the galaxy. "Some of them are broadcasting attack signals," Wu Jin reported, studying the readings. "But others seem to be trying to help." Daun looked confused as she translated the various alien languages. "This doesn't make sense. Half of these messages say they're here to kill you, but the other half say they're here to protect you." Tejo walked outside their fortified camp and looked up at the sky. He could see the ships now, small dots of light moving between the stars. "The curse is breaking down," he said. "It's not working the way it's supposed to." "What do you mean?" Daun asked. "Think about it. The curse was designed to make everyone hunt me. But some of these aliens don't want to. They're choosing to help instead." Through their long-range communicator, they received a message from one of the approaching ships. The alien who appeared on their screen looked like a tall, thin person with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am Captain Veleth of the Mindarian fleet," the alien said. "My ancestors served Queen Niravel long ago. We do not wish to participate in this hunt. The Queen was a good ruler who tried to prevent a terrible war. We have come to offer our protection." More messages followed. The Crystalline Collective, whose people had been saved by Niravel's peace negotiations. The Deep Swimmers, who remembered her kindness to their underwater cities. Species after species declared that they would not kill an innocent human who was only trying to help their beloved queen. But not everyone felt that way. The descendants of Prince Zethran's followers still wanted blood. They had waited 5,000 years for revenge, and they weren't going to give up now. "It's like the galaxy is choosing sides," Wu Jin observed. "Not the galaxy," Tejo corrected. "Individual people are choosing sides. That's very human." "But you're spreading human behavior to aliens," Daun said with wonder. "The curse was supposed to control their actions, but you've given them the ability to choose." That night, Tejo's conversation with Queen Niravel was different than before. Instead of appearing as a sad, distant hologram, she seemed more solid, more real. "I can feel them," she said. "My people calling out across the stars, some with anger, some with love, all of them feeling something I thought they had forgotten." "What's that?" "The ability to choose their own path instead of following ancient commands." Tejo nodded. "The curse assumed that everyone would obey it without question. But once people start thinking for themselves, they might decide the curse is wrong." "This has never happened before," Niravel said. "In 5,000 years, no one has ever made it to the 7th day. And now, instead of one person barely surviving, there's an entire galactic alliance forming to protect you." "So what happens tomorrow?" Tejo asked. "I don't know. The curse might try one final desperate attack, or it might simply break apart when it realizes it has failed. What do you want to happen?" The Queen was quiet for a long moment. "I want to be free. But I also want to live in a galaxy where people choose kindness over cruelty, peace over war. If marrying me means you'll be trapped like I was, then maybe it's better if the curse just ends." "What if there's a third option?" "What do you mean?" Tejo smiled. "You said no one has ever made it to the 7th day before. That means no one knows what the marriage ceremony actually involves. Maybe we can change it." "Change an ancient curse? That's impossible." "You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means." The 7th day dawned with hundreds of ships filling the sky above Velthara Prime. The planet's surface was crowded with landing craft as different alien species set up camps. Some prepared for battle. Others came in peace. Li Heirin arrived that morning on a human diplomatic vessel. She was a skilled negotiator who had worked with alien governments for years. Tae-ho was grateful to see a familiar face. "The whole galaxy is talking about this," she told him. "You've accidentally started the biggest cultural discussion in recorded history. Everyone wants to know, should people be bound by ancient laws, or should they be free to choose their own destiny?" "I just wanted to help someone who was lonely," Tae-ho said. "Sometimes that's all it takes to change everything." By noon, the various alien factions had divided the planet into territories. The ones who wanted to kill Tae-ho controlled the northern continent. The ones who wanted to protect him held the south. Neutral parties and observers filled the spaces between. But something unexpected was happening. Instead of fighting each other, the different groups were talking. Aliens who had been enemies for centuries were meeting under white flags to discuss the situation. "Look at this," Da-un said, showing Tae-ho a translated conversation between two rival species. "They're not just arguing about the curse anymore. They're talking about ancient grudges, old wars, things they've wanted to say to each other for thousands of years. It's like you've given them permission to think about their history differently," Woo-jin added. As the day wore on, Tae-ho realized that his choice was bigger than just saving one person. The entire galactic community was watching to see what would happen when someone refused to accept that the past had to control the future. The sun was setting when Queen Niravel appeared, to him one last time as a hologram. "It's time," she said. "The 7th day is ending. What is your choice?" Tae-ho looked around at the alien ships, at his human friends, at the beautiful crystal caves where this all began. "I choose to marry you," he said. "But not because the curse demands it. I choose it because I want to build something new with you. A partnership between two people who believe in peace over war, choice over obedience. And if I choose to accept, then we figure out how to make this work for both of us, as equals." Niravel smiled, and for the first time in 5,000 years, it was a smile of pure joy. "Then let's get married," she said. The wedding ceremony took place at sunrise on the 8th day, in the crystal chamber where Tae-ho first met Queen Niravel. But this was unlike any wedding the galaxy had ever seen. Representatives from hundreds of alien species gathered around the crystal pillar. Some came to witness history. Others came to make sure the ancient curse was properly ended. A few still hoped to stop the ceremony, but they were greatly outnumbered. Lee Hae-rin had worked through the night to set up the diplomatic protocols. "This isn't just a wedding," she explained to the crowd. "This is a new kind of alliance between different species and different ways of thinking." Da-un and Woo-jin stood beside Tae-ho as his witnesses. They had helped him prepare by researching both human and Corvani marriage traditions, then figuring out how to combine them in a way that respected both cultures. "Are you sure about this?" Da-un whispered as they waited for the ceremony to begin. "I'm sure," Tae-ho said. "This feels right." Queen Niravel appeared as a hologram at first, but as the ancient words of the ceremony were spoken, her image became more solid. The curse marks on Tae-ho's arms glowed brighter, and the crystal pillar hummed with energy. But instead of following the traditional Corvani ritual, which would have bound them in unequal roles, Tae-ho had insisted on changes that reflected human values. "I, Kim Tae-ho, choose to join my life with yours," he said to the queen. "Not as your servant, not as your master, but as your partner and equal. I promise to listen to your wisdom and share my own. I promise to respect your choices, and hope you will respect mine." The gathered aliens murmured in surprise. These words were not part of the ancient ceremony. Some of the older species looked upset at the change in tradition. Queen Niravel smiled and replied with words they had agreed on together. "I, Niravel of the Corvani, choose to join my life with yours, not as your goddess, not as your burden, but as your partner and equal. I promise to use my knowledge to help build a better future, not to control it." As they spoke these words, something extraordinary happened. The curse marks on Tae-ho's skin began to change, becoming brighter and more beautiful. At the same time, Queen Niravel's holographic form became completely solid. She stepped down from the crystal pillar as a real, living person for the first time in 5,000 years. But the most amazing change was in the aliens watching the ceremony. The anger and hatred that had driven the eternal hunt began to fade from their faces. Instead, they looked curious. hopeful, even peaceful. "The curse is transforming," an old Corvani scholar announced. "Instead of binding in servitude, it's creating a bond of mutual choice and respect." The ceremony concluded, with both human and Corvani traditions. They exchanged rings made from the crystal of the chamber. They shared food from both their cultures. And most importantly, they promised to work together to help other species resolve their ancient conflicts peacefully. When the ceremony ended, something unprecedented happened. Representatives from dozens of alien species approached Tejo and Niravel, asking for help with their own problems. The Mineral Eaters and the Star Shepherds had been fighting over territory for 300 years. The Void Swimmers couldn't communicate with the Light Dancers because their languages were too different. The Machine Collective wanted to understand why organic species valued emotions over logic. "You've shown us that ancient problems can have new solutions," Captain Velith said. "Will you help us find peace as well?" Tejo looked at his new wife. Niravel had knowledge of hundreds of civilizations and thousands of years of history. He had human creativity and the ability to think outside traditional patterns. Together, they might actually be able to help. "We can try," Niravel said. Over the following weeks, the newlywed couple established the first human Corvani Cultural Exchange Center on Valthara Prime. Aliens came from across the galaxy to share their problems and learn new ways to solve them. Tejo taught classes on human problem-solving techniques, brainstorming, compromise, thinking creatively about old problems. Niravel shared the historical knowledge she had gained from watching civilizations rise and fall over millennia. Dayun became the center's chief translator, developing new ways for different species to communicate. Wu Jin designed technology that helped aliens understand each other's cultures better. Li Hei-Rin organized diplomatic meetings between former enemies, but the real success came from the marriage itself. Seeing a human and an ancient alien queen working together as equals inspired other species to try the same approach. Instead of conquest or submission, they began to explore partnership. 3 months after the wedding, the first interspecies peace treaty in 1,000 years was signed. The Crystalline Collective and the Soft Builders, who had been enemies since before humans discovered space travel, agreed to share resources and knowledge. 6 months later, a former war zone had been turned into a joint research station where 12 different species worked together to solve problems that affected them all. "It's spreading," Nira